Hey, I have read a few books that I'm going to review. And we'll start with Normal People by Sally Rooney. Sally Rooney I had heard of for a long time. Obviously she's quite famous now. I think this might have been her first novel, but I'd never read anything of hers. And I just saw this book on the bookshelf at somebody's house, so I asked to borrow it. Absolutely brilliant. I say that about a lot of books, but there are some books, I'll review another one which I don't think was absolutely brilliant like this one. I'm not going to say that about every single book. What's so good about Sally Rooney is just, she writes beautifully. And one thing I've noticed recently is, when we were in school, when I was in school or college, and you're studying literature and you're taught to be descriptive and this and that, but I don't think that's very effective. People like Sally Rooney, a lot of Korean authors and a lot of Japanese authors are like this. They say just enough. It's not overly descriptive. It's not, they say just enough to really paint the picture. And whether that's describing a scene or describing an emotion or inferring a motive or something, she does it brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. It's a relationship story, a love story, let's say. And being born in the late 70s, early 80s, and having had one main relationship my whole life, and then from the age of about 30 encountering so many people, maybe with the onset of social media or what have you, who just can't seem to hold a relationship together. I think it's pathetic. Backlash on that one, I expect. But here's a story about a relationship in the 21st century, which is absolutely brilliant. It's touching. The characters are complex. The main characters are a girl called Marianne, who is essentially ostracized at school. She's not cool, she's odd, ostracized by her family, and then her boyfriend, who is, well, never really her boyfriend, and never really an item for most of the book, Connell, who's popular. And then when they go to university, because Connell's really, really intelligent, he becomes the awkward one and she becomes the popular. It's a really fascinating book, and it's just about these relationships. Beautifully written. I really enjoyed it. And some of the sentences in there, it's writing's a technique, and if you're really good at it, you develop your own style, and you come up with some sentences. And in this book, there's sentences which they just make you stop and think, wow, because they imply something. The scene has been set by the 10 or 50 or 100 pages you read up to, and then she hits you with this sentence, bang. But it's always soft, it's always subtle, it's so good. And she's got an easy writing style, just saying what needs to be said, no fancy superfluous words or anything like that. I like the cover as well. Once you've read the story, the cover takes some more meaning. I don't want to give too much of the story away because I think it's really, really worth reading, so I'll just read some of what's on the back of the book. And the front of the book: the best novel published this year by The Times, the future classic, The Guardian, quite astonishing, The Independent, the most enjoyable novel of the year, the Daily Telegraph. Okay. I reckon if you're reading something about a book rather than politics or world events, the Daily Telegraph is probably believable. Winner of the sorry, I've lost myself here. It actually says winner of the and Post Irish Book Awards, Novel of the Year 2018. Winner of the Specsavers National Book Awards, International Author of the Year, longlisted for the Man Booker Prize, shortlisted for the Kerry Group Irish Novel of the Year 2019, shortlisted for the International Dublin Literary Awards 2019, shortlisted for the Book of the Year at the British Book Awards 2019. It's good. A lot of different people like it. And often something being really, really popular doesn't mean it's good at all. In my opinion, Harry Potter is rubbish, but it's incredibly popular, obviously. Effortlessly brilliant, tender and devastating. I definitely agree with that. Guardian Books of the Year. Best novel this year by a country mile is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Brilliant. That's Spectator Books of the Year. Love, sex, class, work, miscommunication and melancholy are all described in prose that is somehow at once lapidary and mysterious, glittering with the feeling of something moving like weather behind the sentences. That is fantastic. That sums it up really nicely. That's by the New Statesman Books of the Year. Rooney's second novel. Okay, Rooney's second novel is one you read in 3 days flat. A tube stop missing escalator reading tale Rooney's style is pure poetry, sparse and heartbreaking. Evening Standard Books of the Year. I wonder what was her first one. I'll read that as well and I'll review that. So I'm going to give you an overview of the book. Connell and Marianne grew up in the same small town in the west of Ireland, but the similarities end there. In school, Connell is popular and well liked, while Marianne is a loner. But when the two strike up, a conversation again, awkward but electrifying, something life-changing begins. Normal People is a story of mutual fascination, friendship and love. It takes us from that first conversation to the years beyond in the company of two people who then try to stay apart but find they can't. Yeah, brilliant. If you haven't read anything by Sally Rooney, then you're an idiot. You should. Really, really good. What's her first one? Conversations with Friends. Sally Rooney. Maybe I'll read that one as well. Yeah, I'll read that one as well and I'll review that. I'll pop into the bookstore tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed that. Look, read the book. It's really, really good. And there you go. That's your introduction to Sally Rooney.